Geeks? It's your boy Josh, aka Future Filmmaker at the Future Filmmaker 3940 Reviews, where we talk movies, TV shows, rankings. And with Dark Phoenix out in theaters and it's not doing too well, and it being one of the two last Fox-related X-Men films, I've decided to rank all 12 X-Men movies from the worst to the best. Now, like I said, I am a big fan of the X-Men franchise, and the list is changed after watching Dark Phoenix, and there are some places you're not going to agree with. But before I get started with the ranking, be sure to tell me in the comments down below, how would you rank this franchise? What's your favorite film in the franchise? What's your least favorite? And what is the worst one that's in between? And let's have a friendly discussion in the comments. Be sure to follow all my social media links down below. And be sure to check out my website where I post written reviews and stuff. Let's get started with the ranking. Coming at number 12 is X-Men Origins Wolverine. Oh my goodness. This movie sucks. This film sucks. I reviewed this film back when X-Men Apocalypse was getting ready to come out. I reviewed the other X-Men movies, and I gotta tell you, even when I go back and rewatch this movie, it does not hold up. It does not get any better. Sure, there are some good things in it. It does have some good cinematography. It does have a good musical score behind it, and it does have some good action scenes in it. And Hugh Jackman is really trying as Wolverine. So is Lee Stryber. But what brings this movie down and why this movie is the worst X-Men movie is because it ruins the origin story of Wolverine that was set up so perfectly in X-Men 2. It shows way too many characters in, such as Gambit, Emma Frost, and you ruin Deadpool by taking away everything Deadpool stood for. Thank goodness we got a Deadpool movie that was truly worthy, and the CGI effects was really bad. The direction was incompetent, the script was very lackluster, and the third act twist, I didn't even care. And you can easily tell that Fox basically didn't know what they were doing. Even though it was a work print of this movie that came out that was leaked online, but honestly, X-Men Origins Wolverine, I just did not care about this movie whatsoever. Coming in number 11, and it kills me having to put this at the bottom of the list, but the recent one, X-Men Dark Phoenix. Like I said, I don't hate this movie, but I really wanted to like this movie. I wanted to love this movie. I wanted to be in the minority saying this is not as bad as people made it out to be, but unfortunately I can't because of this film's glaring flaws. Like I mentioned in my review, Jennifer Lawrence acts like she does not want to be there. And that is very sad because she's been with this franchise since X-Men First Class. And that is a big disappointing factor. Also, Magneto was very useless. They keep doing the same exact thing with him here. Jessica Chastain does nothing as the villain. It finds a way to butcher the Phoenix Saga once again, as they don't go in depth with it. You can easily tell this movie was rushed because of the merger between Fox and Disney. And like I said, you're telling the biggest story ever for a second time, and you think the second time they would do this right, but they butcher it and ruin it by having it only be an hour and 54 minutes. Like I said, you don't take a story like this and make it 114 minutes. It has to be more longer than that. Also, you don't get much of the team dynamics here. Most of the writing and most of the effects and the pacing, the direction is not very well done at all. It does have some good performances going for it, such as James McAvoy, Sophie Turner, Michael Fassbender. Sophie Turner, she's really trying. And the other cast members are really good, except for Jennifer Lawrence. It does have a great score behind it. It does have some decent stuff they were trying to do, and just a lot of wasted potential, especially with Psylocke not being here, Jubilee not getting anything to do, and ultimately, I hate to say it, a waste of Halston Sage, beautiful woman. So Dark Phoenix, there are some good things here, but ultimately this film is just a massive letdown. And not a very great way to end the X-Men series. Coming in number 11 is the first X-Men movie. Now, this is where I really get into the movies that I love. Now, X-Men, great start to the series. Classic film from 2000s. Without this movie, you wouldn't have the MCU. And it basically brought the big modern superhero genre. And that's what I really appreciate about it. We do get some development for our characters, and Rogue and Wolverine. It was great to see those two interactions. It was great to be introduced to the school for the first time, get to see Storm, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Professor Xavier, Patrick Stewart, Famke Johnson, Hugh Jackman. He was a perfect choice for Wolverine. So was Ian McKellen. Halle Berry was, in my opinion, a great choice for Storm. Rebecca Romijn's Mystique. The only reason why this is not higher on the list is because there are some very dated CGI effects, and the movie, it does do rush along. That's because it's trying to tell the story that it's trying to go for. And I appreciate the story of the mutants want to be accepted. I like the whole thing with the Senator. I like seeing Ray Park's Toad and Tyler Mane's Sabretooth. He and Wolverine had an awesome fight. So this is just a very entertaining enough X-Men film. It's not the best way to start off, but I have to say that this is when Marvel was really starting to get on their horse. Coming to number 9 is X-Men First Class. Now, a great start to the First Class trilogy, but there are a few problems that does put this at the bottom of the ranking, and not higher as I wanted to put it. You kill off the only black guy who with superhero powers, and that was just a bit racist there. Especially now, and I feel like Eddie Gagathi should have more to do. I really do love Emma Frost, January Jones, but she doesn't get that much to do. She's good to look at though, but she don't get much to do. And also, I don't really care for Kevin Bacon as the villain. But everything else I really enjoy. I love the friendship aspect between James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender. Jennifer Lawrence really gives it her all here in this movie as Mystique. She's actually doing a good job here. The makeup on her was really great. You also got Zoe Kravitz. You also have Beast, Lucas Tills, Havoc, and you have Banshee. I really do like Matthew Vaughn's direction. It feels like you're watching a James Bond movie with mutants in it. I like the musical score, especially Magneto's theme. The story was very interesting. I like the prequel aspects that they really wanted to go for here. So there's a lot to love in X-Men First Class. But like I said, the reason why it doesn't end up higher in this ranking is because of the problems. Emma Frost doesn't get much to do. Kevin Bacon's not a good villain, and you do kill off the black guy here. And the film does go on for a little bit too long, but I get what it's trying to do. So some people can hate First Class, but I still like X-Men First Class. Coming in number 8 is Deadpool, the original. What this movie accomplished was giving us the Deadpool that we have been waiting for 17 years in the making when this came out. And when this first came out and I first reviewed it, I said it was good but not great, and I had a lot of issues with it. But then I watched the movie again, and I decided to give it a secondary review. And I ended up really enjoying it a lot. Ryan Reynolds was born to play the character. Marina Baccarin, sexy as all hell, very attractive, even on Firefly back then. She's really great here. The humor works very well. The R rating does come into full play, and I really do appreciate that aspect. The action scenes are very well done. T.J. Miller is very funny. The direction by Tim Miller is very awesome. The script is just so hilarious. It's so well done. Soundtrack choices are really well done. And you have a very awesome title sequence, which is so awesome in here. Yes, this movie is not for the kids because there is some cursing, there is sex scenes here. So this is not a kids movie in the X-Men series. And what I like about this movie is that it was willing to take a chance. And if this movie was not successful, if this movie failed, then everybody would have been pissed. If they didn't go for the R rating, then everyone would be pissed. The only issue I have here is with the villain. But I do like they make fun of X-Men Origins Wolverine. And that puts a smile on my face. And they do make some references to X-Men in this movie. So that was pretty cool. And I do like Gina Carano and Negasonic Teenage Warhead, played by Brianna Hildebrand, who is a cutie. So overall, Deadpool, a very awesome film. Coming in number 7 is Logan. This was a great way to end Hugh Jackman's long run as the character of Wolverine. And I have to say, there is no other way they could have done this. What this movie did, it was satisfying, it was emotional, it was very impactful. I still think this is one of the more overpraised movies of 2017, but I definitely get the praise. I definitely do get why this movie was nominated for a screenplay. I don't know why Hugh Jackman didn't get his Oscar nomination, nor did Gal Gadot or Patrick Stewart, because they just got robbed. Patrick Stewart does a really great job as Professor X, and he ends his run as the character. Daphne Keane was a really great addition as X-23. The violence was awesome. The action scenes were incredible. James Mangold's direction was really great. It definitely feels like you're watching The Last of Us. The script is so exceptionally well written. The first act does take a while to get used to, which is my only issue besides the villain. And the end of the movie, I really loved the ending of the movie because they were willing to take that character, Wolverine, out the way they intended to. And that was definitely how they easily did it. And it's just very well done. Even the Logan Noir cut was really cool. I have not talked about the Logan Noir cut yet, but as far as my thoughts on it, it is really great. I wasn't really feeling it the first time I watched the Logan Noir cut, but now I really enjoy it, and it just makes it even more awesome than it already is. So whether if you're watching this movie in color and black and white, Logan is very, very awesome. It's not a movie that I rewatch constantly because this is a very sad and tragic film, but it is really entertaining. Coming in number 6 this is going to be pretty controversial, X-Men: The Last Stand. My favorite of the original trilogy. I know a lot of people just don't like this movie at all. That's fine. No real reason to argue with them there because there's nothing I'm going to say to change their mind. But I'm just going to tell you why I have this so high on the list. Yes, they did shove a bunch of characters in. Yes, they did kill Cyclops in the stupidest way imaginable. Yes, there's too many subplots going on with the Cure and Magneto's Brotherhood and the Dark Phoenix storyline, which you heavily sideline in this entire movie. But is there enough things in this movie to get you through? Yes, there is. I really do like the actors. Again, they ante up the action here. There's a lot more action going on. Storm gets a lot more to do. Jean Grey, Funky Johnson, she does a great job as Jean Grey and the Phoenix. There is a very emotional moment with Professor Xavier dying. I don't like what Magneto does in the scene, and also I don't like how Mystique gets treated either. And I still hate to this day what they do to Rogue. That was unforgivable by having her take the cure, because she loses her powers all for a boy, and I didn't really like that. I know Anna Paquin was doing another movie, but Rogue should have had a lot more to do in terms of action, and so is Cyclops. Honestly, with Cyclops, I would have rather have him leave and then come back for the final battle. That's honestly how I would have done it, instead of having to kill him off. Or do it to where something happens and we don't know what happens to him until he comes back to town. And it's cool to see Kitty Pryde and Beast, but there's a lot of things that this movie does suffer from, but I do find enjoyment in X-Men The Last Stand. Coming in 5th place is Deadpool 2. Woo! Deadpool 2. How do you make a sequel that's just as awesome as its predecessor? But basically, you just do it. This movie did have some trouble before it got made, but this movie still turned out to be really darn awesome. And, well, like I said, Ryan Reynolds does an incredible job once again as Deadpool, Wade Wilson. Marina Baccarin definitely gets underused and she doesn't have much to do, and I don't like what they did with her character at the beginning of the film, but everything else is really great. You have a better villain this time around. I don't really care for the whole teenager. I thought he was bad. It's good to see Negasonic Teenage Warhead get a lot more to do. There's a lot more references to movies. They even make a joke on Green Lantern, which made me happy because that movie just sucks completely. The action scenes were very well done once again by David Leitch, one of the directors of John Wick. The humor is anteed up to a 100%. You got a beautiful black girl in Zazie Beetz as Domino, Josh Brolin, awesome as Thanos. He was awesome here as Cable. The story was very intriguing. I loved the way the movie felt. It felt like a production. It felt like a sequel that was wanted. And the super duper cut was just awesome. I know some people hate the scene with the old lady, but I actually kind of like those scenes. I actually don't mind those scenes. Now when it comes to the PG-13 version of Deadpool 2, it is awful. Aside from the fresh savage stuff, it is just a very sad attempt to cash in on Deadpool. And I hope with Deadpool 3 they do not pull the stunt and make him PG-13, because that's not what Deadpool is. But Deadpool 2 still really awesome. Coming in 4th place is The Wolverine. This is the best Wolverine movie for me. Yes, it's PG-13. Yes, it should have been R-rated. Yes, the third act is completely nuts. But that's what I love about it. This movie goes completely nuts. Hugh Jackman was once again great again. I like the story of him going to Japan and he loses his healing factor. For the first time, he feels vulnerable and he feels like he could actually die. And that's what I really like about the story, was that they push this character into a different territory. They do something different with him. I like the Japanese girl. She was very cute. The action sequences are very well done on James Mangold's part, and the cinematography, editing, and the production and costume design was very well executed. I love that end credits scene with Days of Future Past. Getting set up, and Marco Beltrami's score is so awesome. I haven't seen the unrated cut. I just seen the PG-13 version, but The Wolverine is the best movie of this Wolverine trilogy, and it is just so cool to watch. Wolverine uses claws. Just it's just awesome to see him wreak havoc and do what he said, what this character is supposed to do. So the Wolverine is just all around awesome. Coming in third place is X2, X-Men United. This sequel is so badass, so awesome, so entertaining. This is how you do a second installment in a franchise. X2 is just all around awesome, very entertaining, very amazingly well done. Bryan Singer upped his A game here. The CGI looks a lot more better than this time around. The introduction of Nightcrawler and that opening White House sequence gets me every time. Alan Cummings looks really great in the makeup. The makeup for Mystique is still very top notch. It's also really well done. You get more of Wolverine's origin in this movie that is set up so amazingly well. And Hugh Jackman does a great job as character once again. You got a great villain in William Stryker. John Ottman's score and editing for the film is very well done. This movie is shot amazingly well. The script is perfection. The rest of the cast, including Famke Johnson, Rebecca Romaine Stamos, and Brian Cox as William Stryker, Halle Berry, Anna Paquin, Sean Ashmore, Pyro himself, played by Aaron Stafford. All of the cast does a really great job here. The story of Magneto and the X-Men working together to save Xavier, but also stop Stryker, I really love. Kelly Hu is Lady Deathstrike. Beautiful in this movie. She doesn't have a lot of lines, but she does a really great job in the performance, and she is just really amazing. And she really brought her A game here. And the fight scene that she has with Wolverine is just so much fun to watch and just so cool to see and so entertaining to just enjoy and take in. So X2, number 3, nothing but praise. Coming in second place, the runner-up is X-Men Days of Future Past. What this movie managed to do was take the first class actors and the original trilogy actors and put them all in one movie for this really great story of going back in time to stop the Sentinels from destroying the X-Men and wiping out all mutants entirely, and sending Wolverine to the past to basically get a young Magneto and get a young Professor X and a young Beast to help him do his mission. And the story is very well done. Simon Kinberg really wrote the hell out of the screenplay for this. It does right wrongs that were made in X-Men The Last Stand, X-Men Origins Wolverine, and it does make it like those movies never happened. The actors are really well done. From Jennifer Lawrence to Hugh Jackman, James McAvoy, Ian McKellen, Patrick Stewart, Michael Fassbender. The action scenes are incredible. John Ottman's score and his editing and this effects in this movie are really well done, and the cinematography is really well done. The only downside is the road cut of this movie is better, and it definitely answered the call of giving Rogue more to do when she takes the spotlight from Kitty Pryde and she helps Wolverine in the cut. And just a lot of awesome stuff to love about this movie. Yes, Warpath, Sunspot, and once again they killed off another black superhero in the case of Omar Sy's character, Bishop. And yes, they do go for some pretty emotional weight here, which is something I really appreciate. And yes, Blink doesn't get much to do either, but thankfully on The Gifted, Jamie Chung's Blink, they gave her a lot more to do. So I have to say, this movie easily is still great. Still great Still amazing, still really awesome, and still very fun. But at number 1, and again, gonna get controversial, but X-Men Apocalypse. In my original review, I gave this movie a seal of approval. Now it's gone down to an epitastic. It's just epitastic. It's not a perfect movie. Like I will say, Apocalypse should have been done a lot more better. And instead of makeup, he should have just been motion captured or something like Thanos. Oscar Isaac does a great job, but I feel like most of the dialogue he has could have been improved or fixed. But I do love the line of dialogue where he says, "Everything they built will fall." And Olivia Munn, like I said, as Psylocke, she doesn't get any lines of dialogue except for one line of dialogue at the end, but she looks pretty sexy in that costume though. And she does get some play into the action scenes, and the third act is really cool. Cyclops gets a lot more to do than James Morrison's Cyclops, in which in this case Cyclops is played by Ty Sheridan. Sophie Turner as Jean Grey, I thought she was great as well. Alexandra Shipp was really great. She gets the accent down. She really does play the role to a T. There's not really much motivation for why any of the four horsemen joins him. You find Archangel is underused. Quicksilver does have a very awesome scene, just like he did in Days of Future Past. Also, Jennifer Lawrence does a great job here once again, but there are a few moments where it feels like she just doesn't care as much as she did with the first two, but she's still really great in the role, and so is James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender. And what I like is that what they get with Magneto when he loses his family. So a lot of people can be upset at me for putting this movie at higher on the list, but X-Men Apocalypse is not that bad of a movie, and it's just not the worst thing ever. It's not one of the worst comic book movies ever. People, have you seen Venom? Have you seen Fantastic? Have you seen the new Hellboy movie? Yeah, it's nowhere near as bad as those movies. X-Men Apocalypse, it does have its flaws, and the script could have been tweaked a little bit better, but I do enjoy X-Men Apocalypse even with its glaring flaws. So that was my official and final ranking for the X-Men franchise. The X-Men series has had its ups and downs, but I still love this franchise for the most part. And I can't wait to see what the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to do for them and with the Fantastic Four, because the Fantastic Four definitely needs a redemption, especially after that god-awful piece of crap that was Fantastic. So, I must say that I'm happy to see what the MCU is going to do with the X-Men, and thank you for 20 years of X-Men movies. Even though Dark Phoenix was disappointing, I still thank you, Fox, for giving us X-Men, because if it hadn't been for X-Men, you wouldn't have the Dark Knight trilogy. You wouldn't have the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You wouldn't have Spider-Man in the MCU. You wouldn't even have X-Men and Fantastic Four going to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, in a lot of ways, we should be thanking X-Men for doing all these amazing things for Marvel and future superhero movies along the way. So that was my ranking of the X-Men series. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what your ranking would be down below. Do you like my ranking? Do you not like it? Are you in between on some movies? What's your favorite X-Men movie? What's your least favorite? Be sure to follow all my social media links to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Stardust, Letterboxd. Also be sure to check out my official YouTube fan page on Facebook for updates and notifications where I post. And also be sure to check out my website, Future Filmmaker 39480 Movie Reviews at WordPress.com, where I post written stuff on there. And you guys keep it cool. Until next time, join the epitassicness.